heavy from Imanol Almaguer. Both of these teams take on the identity of their MLS clubs. You'll see some similarities in the way they play. Philadelphia likes to have that high line of press like this. Try to win the ball high up the field, turn it into quick strike attacking options. Orlando likes to build through the back. It's there over the top, they take it, but very methodical in their approach. It's what led Orlando City to US Open Cup title last year. Solis taken down. Jan Solis, 24-year-old from Colombia. 14 appearances last year with Atlético Nacional in the Colombian First Division. Capped at various youth levels for the Colombian youth national team. One of those newly acquired players from South America this year for Orlando. They hope bring a veteran presence. His job knotting that down by Salim. Otherwise, Nelson Pierre was in the clear. Here's Juninho, 22-year-old from Brazil, just came over this offseason. Set piece opportunity for Orlando, already scored today off of a corner. They have in store here. Whipped in, there's Salim again, was waiting for it. And the foul goes against Orlando. It was Abdi Salim lurking. He does have today's goal. It came officially, they're calling it back in the 5th minute. Orlando had a corner, brilliantly taken in swinger right to the top of the 6, and Salim beat his man, knocked it home. Alejandro Granados, one of the youngest players out there on the field, just 16 years of age, made 15 appearances last year for Orlando. Something on again here, Rick makes the save. Andrew Rick gonna come up big. Christopher Acuna muscled his way through Devin Stopek. Rick was alert. The pressure might be on. Andrew Rick, academy product, very excited about him. Hasn't seen much time for this organization quite yet. But his opportunity is born out of a trickle-down effect. Well, LeBlanc talked about the complexities of coaching a two-team like this. All it takes is one injury for the first team, and it has an immense impact on your day-to-day. Right now, Andre Blake, multiple-time goalkeeper of the year in MLS, and Jamaican national team first-choice goalkeeper for Philadelphia. He is nursing a groin injury that's supposed to sideline him for another week or two if all goes well. As he has been out, every goalkeeper on the depth chart has to slot up one spot, and that includes whoever they thought was going to be their starting goalkeeper to begin this season with Union 2, moving up a spot. So it opens the door for Andy Rick, the 17-year-old academy product, to get his first start today. Not much he could have done about the goal off the corner. Powerful header by an open Abdi Salim. I swear Huntsville and Crown City kicked off at the same time that we did, and it's Huntsville 1, Charlotte nothing. Ball played through to David Vasquez, and Philadelphia seemed like they would own a corner. Certainly came off of Naby Kibunguchi. assistant referee claims it was already over the line. Juninho, some space in the middle. Sent long over the top, down the left wing. Long run to get there for Perez, but he gets there, cuts it back to his right foot. Perez in the middle, saved by Rick. Rebound is there, chipped over his head on top of the netting. Offside flag was up on Acuna, but Andrew Rick with another big save, that time denying Jean Solis. To make that stop to keep it just 1-0, and it is at 1-0 because of that goal 5 minutes in by Abdi Salim off the corner. Beat his mark, diving header, powerful header. Granado shields it out to Perez. It's it first time, looking long for Taifi. Zachariah Taifi waits for it to come down. Bursting through the midfield here. Another chance on for Orlando, tucked inside, make it 2. Christopher Acuna, an easy tap in. All the hard work done by Franco Perez. And this is why this team is expecting much more out of this season. They felt they needed experience. They went out and made some transfers, got that experience. 21-year-old Franco Perez with 94 appearances in the Uruguayan first tier has been immense so far in this first half. Comes out from his left back spot, pinches into the space, and finds his fellow Uruguayan Christopher Acuna, the 19-year-old. Had 14 appearances last year in Uruguay with 2 goals. Gets his first here for OCB. Philadelphia will have to settle things down here, find a way. Marlon LeBlanc, in the chat we had, he was very candid about how this team views what their goal is in a season like this. Obviously, you want the wins to come. You want to be winning games. That's your competitive spirit. They try to get one of those goals back here, but it's cleared. But their main focus is on development throughout the year. And they feel that the winning is an ancillary benefit of the development, of the progression, of the hard work. And they've seen all of that hard work pay off in the last 12 to 16 months with so many of the players that have progressed through this team to the first team. Players who, like Paxton Aronson, have gone on to the Bundesliga. Oh, by the way, while they were taking that trust the process approach in the last year, they still made the playoffs in Next Pro last season as the 3 seed. They took their lumps early in the year as they were breaking in some new academy kids. But by the time it was late in the season, Philadelphia started racking up wins because those players who were thrown to the wolves, so to speak, early in the year, they had that experience. They knew how to handle the professional environment. They were much better for it. You know, auspicious start to this season, but it's very similar to how last season started, and that turned out quite all right. Nelson Pierre has some options in front of him. Pierre, low, hard driven ball. Stojanovic couldn't get a foot to it. Kibunguchi heads it clear. Play on, says the official. Only dancing around the 18, finds Pierre, flag stays down. Nelson Pierre on his left foot. Now Olney flag comes up on CJ Olney. In that chat with Marlon LeBlanc. A couple of the key young academy players that they're looking to break in as soon as possible. CJ Olney's name came up. He was a part of the PDA Academy in Somerset, New Jersey. Played in MLS Next Cup 2 years ago in 2021. Was terrific at the U15 age level. Helped them get all the way through to the final, where, interestingly enough, they ran into Orlando's U15 team. Only after shining in that tournament was noticed by Philadelphia, scooped up by Philadelphia. And one of his coaches for PDA that also at some point in the youth upbringing of both Brendan and Paxton Aronson coached both of them in addition to CJ Olney. He compared Olney to the Aronson brothers and said that in terms of raw ability, Olney is better than them both. So if that is an accurate assessment, Philadelphia has to be very excited about what CJ Olney can bring to the table this year. His first year with the two-side. We'll spend some time as the year goes along with the U17 Academy team as well. Perhaps as soon as next week, the GA Cup. Olney also figures to be in the mix for the U17 national team in the next year. A big change instituted by FIFA and CONCACAF earlier this year. We'll see now a yearly U17 tournament take place rather than every other year. On the right side of Westfield, drives the ball in. It falls through to Olney. Now it's still loose. Stojanovic curling it to the far post. Headed away. Top of the area for a strike that's blocked. Francis Westfield had a crack at it. As we see an annual U17 tournament, Olney expects to be a prominent feature for the United States. David Vasquez played all 7 games in this past tournament. He'll be at the World Cup later this year. 4 assists in those 7 games. Olney is right behind him. And that is less than a year after Paxton Aronson was the guiding light for the U20s. Helped them win the Under-20 championship. Philadelphia youth system continues to pump them out annually. Now the concern, Gino Portella, the Italian. Only appearance last season was in the playoff game for Philadelphia. Spent time in the youth system over in Germany with Augsburg, Bundesliga team. Chance here for the Union 2 players to regroup and huddle together. All score in the 5th and 17th minutes by Orlando. Abdi Salim off a corner, and then Christopher Acuna on a well-worked counterattack led by Franco Perez, the left back.
Sorry about that.
There is an Orlando player down amid their huddle as well. Last year, Orlando finished in 9th place. They had 6 regulation wins, 2 in the shootout, 3 shootout losses, and 13 regulation losses amassed just 25 points. Philadelphia had 40 points on the season, 11 regulation wins, 9 losses. They were 3-1 in the shootouts. Jack Lynn last year was the big striker for OCB. He was a part of the best 11 at the end of the season. Hoping to replicate that sort of success, perhaps with Acuna, new acquisition, who's off to a flying start with the goal. the action now after the 2 injuries. There is a new off-field treatment rule. Probably a good time to get that to you now. If a player is suspected, and this is directly taken from the rule book, the verbiage, if a player is suspected to have an injury and is on the ground longer than 15 seconds, a medical crew will come on the field to evaluate and or assist him off the field. Once the player is off the field, he'll be treated by the medical staff and be required to remain off the field for 3 minutes. There are some exceptions if it's a head injury, cardiac issue, or other serious medical events, as Pierre brings down the cross. But it's taken away by Kibunguchi. In light of what we just saw, could be seeing those players off the field for a couple of minutes, as Only tried to thread the needle. Looking for David Vasquez, pardon me. That rule put in place this year to increase effective match time and reduce the likelihood of players embellishing injuries and the gamesmanship that leads to delays in matches. It's all directly from the league initiative this year. So keep that in mind as you see throughout the year. Perhaps players go down. It's a lengthy stint on the ground. You have to sit those 3 minutes before they are allowed back onto the field. Chipped over the top. And it's centrally by Vieiro. Sustained pressure here in the attacking third by Philadelphia. Pushed out wide to Olney. His ball across, punched away by Otero. Down by Evan Stolpek. Turning into space, Mike Vieiro. Over the top for Westfield. Made 20 appearances last year with 3 assists, Francis Westfield. And it will be a corner upcoming for Philadelphia. David Vasquez will do the honors of getting this back into play. Swinger coming with that left foot from the far side. Thought about going short. Was closed down by Jean Solis. Now he goes short anyway. Back around to Vasquez. Couldn't get it past the first man. Fired it into the midsection of Boubacar Diallo. But he keeps the play going. Diallo sends it toward the back post and grabbed by Otero. Colliding with his own man, Kibunguchi. Nearly a half an hour gone here from Subaru Park in Chester, Pennsylvania. Joe Malfa here with you as Orlando City B opens the season on the road against Philadelphia Union 2. It's Orlando off to the terrific start. Goals in the 5th and 17th minutes by Abdi Salim and Christopher Acuna, respectively. I believe this season will look a lot different than last year. In talking to Martin Perelman, the head coach, felt that last year some of the issue with this team in terms of picking up results was just the youth, the inexperience. When times got tough and adversity hit, they couldn't look to somebody as Vieiro lines it up from distance out for a goal kick. But last year, this Orlando team didn't have somebody to look to help them through the rough patches. And he felt at times, Perelman, that some players were more in it for themselves, more focused on what they can do to progress to the first team. And he said that's understandable with the territory. You don't necessarily want to be a 2-player for your whole career. You want to make those inroads to MLS or to any league abroad, a la Paxton Aronson on the Philadelphia side in the past year. Feels the mixture of this team this year has a better balance of those up-and-coming academy kids, those players in their early 20s, and some of those players in their older 20s to be those beacons when times get tough. You can rely upon for the leadership. Also, the depth of this team is certainly there this year in a way that it wasn't last year for Orlando. Good pressure by Nelson Pierre. He wins it. has some options. Here's CJ Olney, clinical. His first this season and first at MLS Next Pro for the 16-year-old who won't be 17 until December, but he's already popped up on a lot of radars. They expect him to be in the mix for the next CONCACAF U17 championship for the United States, and he's showing why. For Philadelphia at the half-hour mark. It all started with the pressure of Nelson Pierre. Have to be careful not to give it right back here. Down the left wing, Perez, long ball across. Finds Taifi, keeps it in. Ryan Taifi gives it back. Emmanuel Almaguer. Still Taifi battling through. And the foul is called, but which way? Both players were getting the arms up. It goes against Orlando. Down the wing again, it's Pierre. Only nice little flick into space for Vasquez. Out wide to Anton Sorensen on his left foot. Tried to pull it back, but lost it. Vasquez. Viero. Diallo. Long to Westfield, clips it over the top. And it's all the way out of play for a goal kick. Wide again to Perez. Forward to Tablante. Forced end line, puts it in front. Acuna couldn't get the flick on. Tried the back heel to the far post. Throw coming for Orlando. Kibanguchi, Abdi Salim gearing up for a long toss at that. Acuna tried to flick it on. Philadelphia clears for the moment, driven back in and out for a goal kick. Four minutes gone. And it's just about down the middle in terms of the possession. 50-50. Shots are 5-4 in Philadelphia's favor. Shots on goal 4-2 in Orlando City B's favor. Have to think back to those couple of big saves made by Andrew Rick. Came at opportune moments. Otherwise, this could have easily been 3 or 4-0. In those couple of stops. Foul throw here goes against Orlando. And those big saves allowed Philadelphia to go ahead and find that goal, cut into the deficit, and now on the prowl for more. This portion of the match is brought to you by WSFS Bank. Alejandro Granados gives it up to Juninho. Now the first goal scorer of the day, Abdi Salim. Given away in the midfield, Olney gets there, leaves it behind. So many bright plays from Olney. You'd see an older veteran making just recognition of where the space is. That's twice now we've seen him have that sixth sense for the space behind him, leaving it for the next player with just a subtle little flick to get it into his path and dead in the blow. Stojanovic's flag comes up on Philadelphia. Philadelphia fans and coaching staff and teammates have to be very encouraged by what they're seeing early on from the likes of CJ Olney and his midfield partner David Vasquez, 16 and 17 years old respectively, and Olney again a young 16, just turned 16 in late December, 3 months ago. Wins it high up the field, gets it to Stojanovic. This half has progressed, Philadelphia has found its footing. Starting to feel a growing sense that an equalizer might be in the cards here. But this Orlando team has a knack for that quick strike counterpunch. So much speed on the flanks. Target men up top in Tablante and Acuna, who can finish. Philadelphia has to be mindful of that as they start walking Orlando down, gaining this territory and sustain time on the ball in the attacking third. Let your guard down for a moment, and it's 3-1. Free kick coming now for the home side. Vasquez fakes the pass back to Olney, sends it toward the penalty spot. The header by Pierre ends up wide. A handful of Philadelphia players crowding the referee, insisting there was a deflection. Here is one of those counters now from Orlando with space in the middle. It's Tablante. His shot blocked. Second time it's deflected, and Rick can corral it. So often we saw last year, and this is just purely anecdotal and chatting with some other colleagues here covering the league, so often we saw late in halves. That's when teams would concede. To do a deep dive and see if the numbers bear that out, but that is what you sometimes find with the youth of these teams. You have that light at the end of the tunnel, whether it's halftime or whether it's that full-time whistle on the horizon. Tend to let your guard down, and that's when you can see one last goal pop in or a goal or two pop in. That's what comes with the reps and becoming a pro, becoming a veteran, knowing that you've got to play from that first whistle to the final whistle in every half. Just keep an eye on that as we enter the final 5 minutes plus stoppage time of this first half. If either team blinks and lets that guard down, we're ready to coast into the halftime interval. Those are the goals that coaches least like to see. You never want to concede ever, period, but it is the nature of the sport. You're trying to score on them the way they're trying to score on you. It's just those dreaded goals in the final few moments of halves that will drive a coach mad. Granados. Orlando's finding a lot of space between the midfield and back line of Philadelphia. They just don't seem in sync right now defensively. Philadelphia, big gap between the two defensive midfielders and that defensive line. Terrific job on the slide by Sorensen to keep it in and win possession. Orlando has exploited that space a few times. Philadelphia's going to have to work on closing that up, stepping together. Sorensen. Stolpek out to Westfield. Diallo. '22 appearances last season. Boubacar Diallo. Sorensen, a heavy touch. What is the call here? Tempers flaring. It was Granados who ended up sitting on top of the ball. A couple of Philadelphia players took a stab at it. They're in their rights. You can't just sit on top of the ball, but his teammates didn't take too kindly to it. And the melee ensues. Still players shoving back and forth. Rick coming down, the goalkeeper to help separate the guys. Still unclear which way the free kick is going to go after all this. Could make the case that it's an indirect free kick here for Philadelphia because of the way that Granados just sat down on top of the ball. Might have gotten his hands on it as well. Then you had David Vasquez coming through to try to whack at it. Certainly we have to have some sort of discipline here. Some cards both ways. Yellow card to Almaguer. Yellow card to Francis Westfield. Do you have any more? Looks like just those two. So yellow card to Westfield, yellow card to Almaguer, and the verdict is a free kick, a direct free kick for Philadelphia for a handball on the ground.
Ladies and gentlemen, yellow card caution has been issued to Orlando City Bees, number 53, Jorge Almaguer. Also a yellow card caution issued to Union 2's number 39, Frankie Westfield. Those cautions shown in the 43rd minute.
Only all the way back to Sorensen. Westfield back for Diallo. Well, there will be 3 minutes tacked down to the end of this first half. This portion of the match is brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Westfield tried to cut it back, but just missed the ball altogether, misjudging the pace it had on it. That's where Crown Legacy and Huntsville tied 1-1, nearing halftime.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth official
More matches to come later today as well. Full slate of games today around the league. Inter Miami taking on Chicago. St. Louis taking on Tacoma. New York Red Bulls against Columbus. Atlanta against New England. San Jose against LA Galaxy. LAFC against North Texas. Colorado against SKC. And then Vancouver against Portland to round out the day before Cincinnati and Toronto battle it out tomorrow. Only gets it along to Sorensen. Sorensen left his pass short, read well defensively by Zachariah Taifi. Looks like both of these teams are ready to just get to the locker room, regroup, get back at it for half number 2. Pace has slowed considerably ever since we had that scuffle between players about 5 minutes ago. Assistant referee raised the flag late. He spotted the ball going out of play. Orlando is getting set for a free kick, but I believe the call is for a throw-in. And that is the case. It will be a free kick in the end. The official was just trying to move back. Alejandro Granados. One last chance here off the free kick, and it's grabbed by Rick. Foul in the box as well against Orlando, and there you have it, the halftime whistle. A lot to think over for both of these teams after their first half of the 2023 MLS Next Pro season is in the books. Orlando off to a hot start, goals in the 5th and 17th minutes before Philadelphia brought one back in the 30th. It was Salim and Acuna for Orlando and CJ Olney for Philadelphia. At the break, you have an interview coming up with Darius Barnes, the Crown Legacy FC president. They're entrenched in a tough one right now, 1-1 against Huntsville. More to come from Chester, Pennsylvania.
Today, we are delighted to be joined by Crown Legacy President Darius Barnes. Darius, your club debuts this weekend against Huntsville City FC, and we're sure you must be pretty busy, so thank you so much for making time for us today.
No, thanks for having me, Samara. It's a pleasure to join.
How anxious are you to get the season started?
We're excited here at Crown Legacy FC and Charlotte FC to finally be able to enter MLS Next Pro, and for us to be able to finally, put our boots across the white lines and kind of display ourselves. We're excited. Obviously, we tuned in last year in the inaugural season, and for us to be able to enter here in 2023 in our inaugural season. And we're excited about what Crown Legacy FC has to bring and offer to the league.
We often talk about the pathway to MLS Next Pro. What has your path been like from the moment you became president to now?
I started with Charlotte FC here in 2021 to help build and grow our club here in the Carolinas. And it's just been a fantastic opportunity for me. Ultimately success for us is going to be how many players are able to push through our pipeline from our academy to Crown Legacy FC and on to the first team playing at Bank of America Stadium. And so all eyes are on the prize and making sure we're pushing players through to the first team and making sure the players have the necessary resources. We feel confident about the players that we've been able to assemble from a Crown Legacy FC standpoint. And hopefully in a year, 2, 3 years time, we'll be able to see the fruits of that labor.
What has been the biggest hurdle